Tonight I'm in a refugio up in the mountains near Florian in eastern Colombia, and I'm staying in that one there. There's nobody else here. I have the place to myself. This is my view, and when I stopped for lunch today, I opened up my email and I had a bunch of messages saying, "Hey, you showed me how to get down to Panama, so now I know that I can do it. The next question I have is, can I afford it?" So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the costs and how I did it, what it cost me. There's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's no lower end, there's no higher end, but I'll let you know what I paid, and then you can see if something that you would want to do yourself. I'm just going to go take a seat and I'll maybe get in my hammock next to my bamboo forest and look out at my view that way, and I'll break it down for you. So I left from Louisiana, from Lake Charles. I stayed with friends the first night through Texas, and then got a hotel the second night in Texas, cheap hotel. I think it was maybe, for American prices, pretty cheap. I think it was $50 something. And then I was in Mexico. So my total time from Lake Charles, Louisiana, if you want to put this on a map, down to Panama City was 79 days, which is relatively quick. You could spend 6 months in Mexico and not even get halfway down the country. Other people want to get through Mexico as quickly as possible, and then they want to spend more time in Central America. Other people want to spread it out. So when you look at it, Mexico will give you 180 days on entry, which is good. If you've seen the first video, I go through that and I show you how to do that at the Mexican border. Then, so you got anything up to 180 days. When you get down into Central America, you have the CA4 countries, and with those 4 countries, they give you 90 days combined. And then after that, you're 90 days per country generally, and you can extend that. So you could spend a year and a half going through Mexico, Central America if you wanted. I did it in 79 days. I planned a trip down to Ushuaia, and I'm thinking something in about a year and a half is my total range. So if you're thinking something like me, or this will give you a good idea of what costs are, and I'll break it down daily, so that way you can figure it out. Now, here's the caveat to this. I didn't give myself a budget. I said to myself, try not to spend more than $100 a day. I didn't. Try to be 75 or below in my head. That's what I was thinking. But I didn't go looking for the cheapest place to stay, the cheapest place to eat, the most direct route, anything like that. So mine was kind of not doing it on the cheap, but not doing it expensive. But I stayed where I wanted to stay. Most of the time I was in a hotel room by myself for all of Mexico. And then through Central America, I was sharing rooms. So my cost went down 50% on that. Food, I ate what I wanted to eat. I didn't, if I wanted to eat street food, I ate street food. If I want to eat in a high-end restaurant, I ate in a high-end restaurant. So it's a mix of everything, and you might be surprised what I spent, actually how little I spent. A few years ago, I did a video on budget and what I spend. I'll put a link wherever the links go. Now with that, I haven't looked at it myself, so I'm not sure, but I think I was something in the region of, when I was traveling solo, I was about $45 a day. And when I was traveling with somebody as a couple, I was about $55 to $65 a day. When I did that, the numbers I was quoting were through 2016 onwards. And it was time in Europe, it was time in Latin America as well. So now it's 2025, it's 7 years later, you would expect prices to have gone up dramatically. So let's break this down and see what it comes out to. Okay, so I moved the camera a little bit so I can put all the numbers up here and you can see as I go along. So I use an app called One Money, and then I track stuff daily. So as I spend money, I go into I use an iPhone, and on the iPhone it'll do a calculation for you quite easily. So you just put the currency in and you put what you spent and it'll do the conversion for you. And then I use iMoney just to track everything. And I track it in a few different ways. I'm looking down at iPad when I'm reading this. Hotel, restaurant, fuel, miscellaneous parts and shipping, groceries, borders, language, school, museums, tolls, ferry, and laundry. That's the stuff that I break down. So let's go through this. So hotels, I spent 37% of my money on hotels. That was $1,911.35. Food from restaurants, I spent $1,149.77. That was 22% of my spending. Fuel, I spent $596.70, and I'm on a Yamaha T700, and I'm getting I'm using 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers. So I'll give you an idea of, if you want to figure out your miles per gallon, I'll try and figure it out and put it on the screen for you. Miscellaneous parts and shipping. This probably wouldn't come into play for you. I basically just threw luggage on a bike, jumped on it and rode away. I spent $549.69. That includes 2 tires and 2 sets of front brake pads, which, if I'd have been setting my bike up correctly and taking a bit more time, I literally left it a few days' notice. So I would have ordinarily left with brand new consumables, so that wouldn't have come into play. But that's in there. But we can include that with the grand total, and we can take it out with the grand total and see how it changes the daily average. Groceries. So if I stop at to get a bottle of water or to get a sandwich or anything like that, I'm not in a restaurant, I just call that groceries. If I'm cooking for myself somewhere, groceries. Miscellaneous stuff for toiletries, replacing deodorant, toothpaste, that all comes down as groceries. That was 7% of what I spent, came out to $356.83. Border crossings. Borders add up, surprisingly. It's, $5, $10, $20 here and there, plus mandatory insurance in different places. So 6% of the money I spent was at borders, $290.41. Language school. I went to language school in Antigua, in Guatemala. I was there for 3.5 days, basically just brushing up on my Spanish. I did 3 full days and a half day, and that came out to $126, and that was 2% of my total spending. Museums and entry fees to parks and different things, $109.02. That's 2%. Tolls were mainly in Mexico. There were certain areas, maybe I was getting late in the day and I just hopped on a toll road just to get somewhere. I spent $46.52 on tolls. Ferries. I have this thing, if you can take a ferry, take the ferry, because usually it's usually an interesting ride to the ferry, and the ferry is a different experience. So I just look for ferries and go on them. $24.21. And the last thing was laundry. I generally do my own laundry as I'm riding along. I just do it on a daily, 2 daily basis and just wash it, wherever I'm staying. I carry a washing line with me, and my total for laundry in almost 3 months is $4, because I've done all my laundry besides that. And camping, Zero, because I didn't camp at all, because Mexico is not a camping culture. So, and most of Central America is not a camping culture. So, and also hotels are pretty reasonable, and I'm not doing this on an ultra strict shoestring budget. So I'll camp when I need to, which will probably be, I'll probably start camping in Peru or Argentina, Chile, Bolivia. But for now, I've just been doing hotels. So all of that as a grand total adds up to that. But if you break it down, if you were trying to figure out by month, $1,936 average in a month. If you were doing it by weeks, you'd be about $452 a week. If you're doing it on a daily average, you'd be $64.56. But that includes the 2 tires and the 2 sets of brake pads. So let me eliminate those, and then that would be a more realistic figure. So if I delete the miscellaneous parts and stuff, the $549.69, then my daily average goes down from $64 and change down to about $57. And like I say, I haven't been slumming it, so I would say that's a pretty reasonable cost to travel, $57 a day. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Just a quick video, like I say, just answering a few questions. And if you have any more questions on budget and stuff, let me know. Obviously, once I reached Panama, then I had to fly the bike. Came out at $9.95 for the shipping of the bike, and then on the other end there's insurance, which was another, I think, $50 or $60. So now your daily average just jumps. But then you come to Colombia right here, and I'm staying in this place tonight. It's about $20 a night, and my hotel last night was $12, and the one the night before that was $11. So your daily average starts to creep back down again. So figure on if you're trying to ride down through Central America and get to South America. If you were doing on a shoestring, I think you could possibly do it on $45 or so, $45 a day. If you don't really care about costs like me, you're going to be $55 to $65. If you want to live it up, you'd probably struggle actually to spend $100 a day. So hopefully that's helpful. Any questions, stick them in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.